Here we go. Well, everybody got quiet as soon as we
started a
quit and let people in.
Right.
That's funny.
Rebecca, you're going to help with watching for raised hands, please.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Judd, are you spotlighting comment speakers or commenters?
Well, no.
Okay.
But yeah, it doesn't seem like a good day to do that.
All right.
But I can if you want occasionally.
Sometimes I look all over the gallery to find out who's speaking, especially if they speak up without being noted. So sometimes I'm thinking, who is this?
It's helpful. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay, yeah, I'm
passing
going to
the
start.
baton.
Okay.
Good.
All right. My name is Bill Porter. I'm the moderator for today. And Judd, could you please bring up the agenda?
Yes.
As you can see, we have a clips from an Ann Wilson film from last year. Then we're going to have a discussion about what she's saying. We have a break. We welcome the new attendees. We have open discussion, closing remarks, and then overtime. And I do want to say something before I pass it on to Pat. On the open discussion, please mute yourself while you're moving around because of background noise. Also remember to unmute yourself when you plan to speak. Also, please raise your hand to recognize or use is come up before the reaction feature at the bottom of your screen. Does everybody understand how that works?
That's for raised hands.
It's down at the bottom of your screen. It's one of the icons. It's called React. And if you press on it, a number of things come up, and one is raise hand and lower hand.
If it works, yeah.
And
it'll be different on an iPad or a smartphone. There'll be no telling where it is there. They change it
I'm
around.
messing with it now so you can see it's
I just want to make sure everybody understands that React. Marlene, I see.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I'm on my iPad. I don't have it on here.
You have it. It's probably under the more, but
Under what?
Under
the
more,
more, there's a more button.
Wait a minute.
the three dots.
The
the
three
I see
dots.
more. I see more. Yeah. And then what about it on here? Oh, raise hand. I got it. Raise hand.
Okay, I just
All
want to
right.
make sure everybody understands that because we've heard before from comments that they didn't have a reaction feature.
Oh.
Okay. And if you don't have a reaction feature, but please use that, or you can also put your question in the chat.
Or
Okay.
put your hand up.
Or put your hand up, and you'll be
and wave it
recognized.
around.
okay. Michelle Phillips has her hand up now. I don't know if she's just testing things or not. You're also muted, Michelle.
I was just
Michelle?
testing it.
Okay.
Right.
I was
Yeah,
just
you know
testing
what?
it. It says lower hand, but
You can lower it.
Lower and then lower hand. Yeah, there you go. That works.
raise hand. It says lower hand, but that's what I have. So
Great.
Anyway, also it's also a good thing to take your own notes because we do save the chat, but sometimes things come up that we may miss. So take your own notes and be mindful of what you're talking. Don't go into a lengthy discussion concerning your own personal problems because we respect your time. We won't have time to talk to new attendees, but that will come in the second hour. And just for time's sake, I'm going to let Pat take over and talk about Mary Wilson. Mary Wilson.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today, old friends and new. My name is Pat Gualtieri, and I'm the president of the Peripheral Neuropathy Support Network and hosting today. I wanted to give you some context on today's discussion. If you had read on the invitations, which I hope you did, we're basically talking about navigating the stress and anxiety that can often accompany holiday seasons and, well, throughout the whole year when you're working and dealing with a chronic disease or even comorbidities. So our executive team met when we were planning for upcoming meetings, and for December, we realized that last year we had a speaker, a presenter named Ann Wilson, and that she was very well received. So I asked her if she would be willing to host again a presentation for this year. And unfortunately, she's traveling today. So the team decided that we would show video clips, not the whole 2 hours, but the video clips that were the most salient points from last year's discussions, and then add your input, fresh and new, as promised in the invitation. We actually asked you to have a sort of think ahead, a ponder this. How do you maintain positivity in light of the stresses and such of the season and throughout the year? And we'll have a chance for you to share that a little bit later. As Bill alluded to, we're having the first hour is going to be devoted to Ann Wilson's video clips, and a little bit after each clip, a little bit of time after each clip for you to comment or question. That's where the raised hand is important. And we will be breaking at 3 o'clock. One thing I wanted to reference early is that we have adapted Catherine Stengel's idea, the Western Neuropathy Association, and have added an exit survey that appears automatically when you leave the meeting. And last month, we had very few responses. And I was thinking that I was going to say a little bit about why we need this or why it's helpful. For example, the exit survey that you're going to answer today is helping us plan for January and February, where we're thinking about the whole big question, aging in place versus moving on, making that decision about whether it's time to move closer to the kids, whether it's time to downsize and go to a community care facility, a continuous care facility. So we would like your input. Is this something of interest to you? Would you attend a meeting like this? Or are we off base and this isn't something that you really are ready for hearing? The second one that came up was documentation and such that a sort of, I don't want to be pessimistic, but an end of life box that was going to help your spouse or your significant other or your kids in managing your affairs, especially things like power of attorney, both medical and financial, things like that. So those were two topics that we are proposing that we will handle in the upcoming 2025. So please take a minute to answer the exit survey if you can. It pops up automatically. You can do 1 to 5, or you can add really more salient comments. Okay, moving back to Ann Wilson, I would like to tell you a little bit about her. Ann Wilson is a internationally known nurse clinician and a pastoral counselor, and she has had well-being of the mind, body, and spirit, webinars throughout the country and actually internationally. And we found she was very thoughtful, and we had a lot of questions last year. So we would like you to listen to the short clips. Judd is going to manage it, our tech guru, and he's going to give you a chance after each clip, whether it's something on positivity, whether it's something on defining anxiety or depression, getting medical help, what you can do to avoid it, navigating tools. So with no more time taken, Judd, I'll turn it over to you so we can get started with the guts of today's presentation.
Okay. We thought Ann Wilson just knocked it out of the park last year, and it's too bad she couldn't make it this year, but we did capture it on video. And so we've got about her whole presentation and our Q&A, but we just didn't want to play that, 2 hours of videotape. So what we've done is prepared a page on the website, and that's what you're looking at now. This page you can get to right now by just typing in December 7, that's today's date, or Ann Wilson in our search engine on the homepage, and it'll put you there, and it'll look like this. So what we've done is basically, under some tools for navigating the holiday season, we've basically cut out some clips for us to use as trigger films, little short videos, and then that'll be triggering us to discuss some things. So when you go to that page, you'll see right here there's a link. That's our YouTube channel. Click, if you go there, you get the whole video from last year. It's worth a look, but if you don't have time, we're going to help you out with that. So going on down, the first little link here is, she points out that we have anxiety when our internal self no longer aligns with the external world in which we live. I'd like to start that video, and then I'll quit, and then we'll get back to the meeting, and we'll go from there. Here we go.
Well, thank you so much for allowing me to spend a little time with you today. And as Joanne said, I think we'll just look at what I'm calling some tools for navigating the holiday season that are also perfectly fine for other times of the year. But we know that this time of year can make us feel a little bit like this pup in the picture who is just kind of strung out, and it doesn't really matter. This is an issue for people of all ages and all mind and body experiences. So I think it's worth taking a little time to remember that in the United States currently around 40 million adults live with some sort of anxiety disorder. And that figure comes from the Anxiety and Depression Association of America. But just to say that this is not a small group, it is a significant percentage of the population that has some sort of issue. And it's really not hard because we live in an age where we're bombarded constantly with information. It tells us what we should or shouldn't be doing, tells us we should be anxious about almost everything. And no matter how often we try to shut that out, it's just constant. So then we add to that the holiday bright lights and festive cheer. And although a lot of that is, intended to and experienced as being positive, it also begins to make us feel like the whole world is kind of in on us. So that's one of the reasons that we can start to have feelings of either isolation, loneliness, grief, or sadness. And this can be true, again, for either those who are not generally all the way through the continuum to those who have a very chronic clinical depression. There's an associate professor of psychology at the University of Arizona who has written a book. Her name is Mary Frances O'Connor. And she has written a book called The Grieving Brain, which is a good resource if you want to check that out at some point. And it's about the surprising signs of how we learn from love and loss. And in that book, she reminds us that our bonds and rituals with loved ones are deeply imprinted in our brains. So that when expectations, whether they are positive or negative, clash with the reality of new situations we experience, this can evoke anything from grief, pain, or deeper suffering. And so our internal map no longer aligns with the world itself. And the new plans we're trying to make tend to have holes in them. And we know we can't replicate the past or completely erase pain. But what we can do is learn some ways to either establish comfort and release of emotions or create some new rituals so that we feel a little bit more at a steady state. Let's go to the next slide because I wanted to just say a bit about what I'd like to cover during this time together.
So she's going to the next section, which is what she wants to do for us during this session. Does anybody have any thought on that? What she said so far?
Judd, we no longer see the tools slide.
Okay, yeah, I'm going back to it.
Okay.
I just thought I'd give us a chance, anybody to comment. I know some of us had some tremendous losses this year. And even though I think Christmas is a great, happy time, and other holidays as well, feasting and gifts and good times, there also can be some sadness with it. So, okay, well, I'll go on to the next portion of this.
Fred, one thing, sorry. She has referenced about 5 or 6 books throughout her presentation, and they are listed at the bottom of, at the end of this presentation today, and will be on the website. So you don't need to worry about writing down the titles. Go ahead.
Right. Okay.
Right. So just in terms of clarifying, there is a continuum from anxiety to what might be called
I went too far ahead.
depression.
Here we go. Here's what we want to cover, she says.
Cover during this time together. We know that especially for this time when it's particularly hard if we've just lost a loved one, or if it's the season in which we remember experiences we've had with a loved one. How do we approach the holidays? We don't necessarily always want to block that out because some of those are very pleasant memories, but we do want to think about ways that we can honor loved ones, maybe with a new ritual. Sometimes it's a gift that we donate to a hospital or a favorite nonprofit to celebrate the life of that person. If there was a concert or some sort of joy like that that meant a lot to us and that person, we participate in that. Or there may be times when we say, this year I think I'm just going to pass that by. One of the things that's important for all of us to remember is that not all negative feelings during the holidays are signs of depression. Now, there is something called the sort of seasonal disorder, which we want to make, we want to honor that. But sometimes it's just, there are days that all of us have a down day when we just have to step back and say, this doesn't have to last forever. Let me see what I can do short of taking a beach vacation or spending money at a spa, although I highly recommend the latter of those. So today we're going to cover some recording depression. The holidays tend to be catalysts for depression, and then spend most of the time looking at some tools for either preventing or minimizing those, including some local resources. And I also want to touch on a few strategies that may help you support someone else. Sometimes we are having the depression, but someone else is. And it helps us, I think, to know what works and what are some things that we may want to avoid doing in terms of supporting another. So let's go on to the next slide then.
Okay, let's stop right there and see if anybody has any statements or questions or anything. I liked what you said about all stress is not bad stress. Sometimes it's stress that comes from getting a promotion, moving, getting married, getting divorced, and so on. and it's still stress, so it still works on our bodies.
Yeah, can you take down the screen share so we can see it
Yeah.
here, everybody?
Yes.
Yeah. People, turn on your video so we can see you smiling or grinning, smiling or frowning.
And please mute yourself unless you are asking or a question or making a comment, so we don't have that background noise. Sorry.
So,
All right.
Anybody
Jen?
have any thoughts on what she's talking about? We're going to get into tools, but I just thought I'd give people a chance to speak if they wanted to.
I know you can deal with peripheral neuropathy, but then on top of that, you've got other problems. And so we're going through a kind of a struggle with one of our children and right now. And it doesn't seem right to have problems with your children at Christmas time. I can remember, excitement around the Christmas tree and all the kids all just being excited about opening presents, and listened the other day about, well, they were playing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and those memories come flooding back. And when you're struggling with other things, it just doesn't seem very Christmassy sometimes.
All right.
So let's hear about her tools, perhaps, to navigate some of this stress and anxiety.
Michelle
Okay.
raised her hand.
Michelle?
Yeah, sorry. I'm new to all this. Hi. I'm brand new to this illness. I just got diagnosed. I also have a pensioner too, and it really doesn't feel like the holidays. Sorry, I'm trying not to get upset. It hurts to cry. I have a pinched nerve. My whole face is pinched. As you can see. It's like kind of like the first time I can actually show my face. It feels like I'm around people who actually understand. I'm trying not to talk too much, sorry. But I have a 3.5-year-old and I get it, like it doesn't feel like the holidays, like he said. It's just, it's hard, like I can't even put up lights on my tree. It's just, I'm just grateful to be invited to the Zoom meeting. I'm finally hearing stuff that I need to hear. I'm sorry. I gotta
We're really
get off.
happy that you joined us today, and welcome. And hopefully you'll hear even more suggestions as Anne continues. And I meant to talk about overtime a little bit. Overtime starts at 4 o'clock at the formal ending of our meeting. We go into a half-hour period for a more personal connection. So if you can stay on longer or want to follow up.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to people because I have no idea what's going on with me and it's very scary.
Of course.
And yeah, I'm just,
Okay.
yeah,
Matt?
I don't know what's going on. So I would really appreciate any kind of help or suggestions or, advice.
Okay.
Hey,
good.
Michelle, stay on with us because I guarantee you'll find something helpful.
Support,
This meeting.
anything, any kind of help because my doctor doesn't even know what's going on with me. So I'm very confused.
We try and offer support, hope, and comfort.
That's what I need.
So stay on with us and just stay with us.
Oh, I appreciate
hear
you
you.
guys. Thank
And
you.
your 3-year-old
Okay,
starts
Judd,
crying.
let's, any other questions before Judd?
Sorry, I'm
Judd-
gonna get off now. Okay.
No. And just say if the 3-year-old starts crying, bring her up and well, some of us are kind of baby crazy anyway. We would just love to see her.
Oh, you want to see him? He's a boy. He's
Him.
great. Here, hold on. He's awesome. Yeah, you want to come here? They want to see you.
Hi.
Hey,
Hey, buddy,
Aw, his
grandpa.
name is
are you
Oh,
being good or
hi.
naughty? Are you being good?
No, no, he's being so quiet for mommy so I can hear you guys.
Okay.
He knows mommy's sick, so he's been trying to help mommy.
All right, well, stay on with us if you can.
I
Judd,
know I'm here. I'm here for the whole
Okay.
thing. Yep.
any other questions?
Okay.
Judd, go ahead, sir.
Okay. Did we do
Yes.
what we're going to cover today? Yes.
Yeah.
And then she goes into some terms we need to know. We people talk about psychological terms like they didn't 50 years ago, and sometimes they're not quite accurate, and they describe things that aren't really well understood or across the board. So here she goes into some of the things that some
Excuse
terms
me,
we
Judd.
need to know about. I'm sorry?
Excuse me, I thought we were gonna do tools that she recommends.
So, just in terms of
One
clarifying, there is a,
did we not do tools?
We did not do tools unless I
It's
zoned out.
it's coming up. Let's
Judge,
see.
perhaps we will skip the definitions and
Okay.
go directly on to
Okay.
there you go. Prevention tools, and that will help us.
Okay, here she is.
we know that the best way to stop stress is before it starts, but that's easy for any of us to say and pretty hard for most of us to actually do, because by the time we recognize that we're stressed, we're already stressed, so it's a little hard to go backwards. However, I want to talk about some basic tools that I think will be able to at least help manage that in a way that it is a little more reasonable. So let's take a look at slide 9, and I'm going to talk about these different areas, a little bit about each one. The first one is setting boundaries, and I'm sure we've all been told about that. However, one of the things that is important to be mindful of is what do we do? How do we do that? And I want to just take a minute here for us to help us be self-disciplined about self-care. We need to be our own best managers in that regard. And so one thing that is crucial is breathing. And when we're anticipating or entering a situation that we know or we're reasonably sure is going to cause anxiety, I want to just take a minute to practice what I mean by breathing. So wherever you are, if you can just take a deep breath and breathe in for a count of 6. So we're going to breathe in for a count of 6. We're going to hold it for 6, and then we're going to breathe out. So let's just try that now together just to get the hang of it. And you can keep doing it during this presentation if you like. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This works best if you do it 3 times. So let's do it 2 more times. So let's breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more time. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, this is something that we can do when we're standing in line in the parking lot, waiting for traffic to disperse a little bit. And, you know, unlike some forms of meditation, you can do this while you're driving as well without worrying about causing a safety hazard. So just keep that in mind. That's something that everybody can do. Try it. If you can go to 7 instead of 6 for each of those sets, that's great. If not, find a number that is going to work for you and that you think you're willing to do repeatedly. Something else that is important to do in terms of setting boundaries is to schedule relaxation time. And by that, I don't mean just thinking about it. Actually write it on your calendar in the same way you would if you were going to go to the dentist or a job interview. And make sure that once it's on the calendar, just like those other things, that you don't say, well, you know, I don't have to do it today, but recognize that no, it's on the calendar. You need to be disciplined about hanging on to that. And then another is to start the day by reminding yourself of the small things that give you purpose and also remind you that, you know, you're still above ground, you're still able to see, maybe not moving quite as well as before, but what are the things that you're still able to do? And give gratitude, be grateful for those things in a way that helps you to feel a little less focused on the things that may not be working so well. A former student of mine suggested at one point in time that she created or has created a coping sheet. And she said, I like to use Post-its and put things that are important to me or that make me feel good on little Post-its in beautiful colors and take them to the refrigerator, take them in the office wherever she's working, so that when she needs a little quick boost, she can look around and take a look at those. She said that some of hers are funny quotes, some of them are funny pictures of animals or people, but you know, just whatever it takes to have some reminders all around you within easy eyesight so that you can see them at a moment's notice. And part of this is discovering our spiritual, what I'm calling our spiritual side. And by this, I mean our capacity for awe and wonder. Even for those who have no movement at all, we can still look around and see and experience the things in the world that are just amazing. Whether it's you know, the recent glorious colors of the trees changing colors, a cloud formation, whatever it is that that helps you to feel that there's a little something else that is going on in a positive way. Staying connected is so important. In this area, especially during the holidays, there are a gazillion opportunities.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it right there. Just pause a little bit. She's going on to getting connected during the holidays. Any thoughts on what she said before?
Can you take down the screen share?
Yeah.
I personally really love the idea of a coping sheet. It's sort of like when you're trying to lose weight and you put a picture on your refrigerator of your current weight, or you think, oh my, this is a reminder that I'm supposed to be watching my calories. Well, these Post-its instead are a positive. They're saying, wow, there are good things happening out there as well. And I need to focus a few minutes of my time, relax, perhaps do the breathing exercise, do something that brings joy, which for me would be cooking or baking. So for me, the holiday season is a positive season. But if you are struggling, just see that reminder could motivate you to stop the negative thoughts and focus for a few extra minutes on what still is good around you. And you
Elaine, you had your hand up.
I
Go ahead.
did. She said it's important to set boundaries, but she didn't really go into any depth on that. And I was just wondering if anyone had any more thoughts on how to set boundaries, when to set boundaries, with whom to set boundaries, why to set boundaries. Did I miss any of the who, what, where, or when?
No, but it's coming up. And
Oh, okay.
but no, I don't mean to stop the discussion. It is perfectly fine to talk about it right here. She mentioned about, I mean, I find that with my kids. I've got grown kids and they are too clingy to me. I thought I would get rid of them at one point and just have them back for Thanksgiving, but you know, it turns out they want to be with us. So I need to set boundaries. You know, it's like when they call up, they generally call when they're getting in the car, going somewhere, 30-minute drive. Let's call dad and I can be less bored, you know. And I'm saying, wait a minute. I was taking a nap here or whatever. And can I call you back in an hour? You know, so in other words, they don't have permission to interrupt my whole schedule, but I want to be available to them. So I have to be, you know, I want to be positive and forgiving, but also I need my time too. You know, it's almost like they think since I'm retired, I have all the time in the world, and they will call me when they, you know, get a spare moment. And I'm saying, well, that's good, but I want to be available to you, but not right now. And let's talk at 7. And also, what you'll find out a little further down the trail in this video is she puts a time limit on discussions. You know, I've got 30 minutes to do this, or I've got 5 minutes to talk to you, you know, and because you may only have 5 minutes, but the other thing is you want to register some independence with them. So that was my thought on that.
Thanks.
I put a note in the chat about the book Breath. That's the whole title, Breath. It's a national bestseller. Came out about, I think about 2021, something like that. So it's about 4 or 5 years old. It's a pretty incredible book. Like I said, it was a national bestseller. And one thing I've found myself doing is sometimes I appreciate stoplights because I will just stop and breathe deeply. And sometimes it changes your perspective on what's going on in the world. You know, I supposedly have retired. You know, I supposedly have time to do whatever I need to do. Well, that somehow didn't turn out to be the case, and I can convince myself that I have an incredible number of things to do, and all of them, every single one of them's got to be done. Well, okay, take a breath.
Marlene has her hand up.
Marlene, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I think some of the boundaries I've had to set have been with what's expected me to do around the house. There's a lot of things I used to do, everything, cleaning, you name it, and I can't do it anymore because of my feet are so bad. So, and I felt guilty about that at first because, you know, as a woman, I feel like I should be able to do everything. And I finally realized I can't, and I've had to accept that. And my husband's been pretty on board with it, but there's still times where I feel, you know, anxious about it.
Hold on.
So I have to, like I said, set boundaries for myself too, you know.
Okay, thank you, Marlene. I appreciate that. Judd, would you continue with the next?
Bill, I'm sorry, Debbie has her hand up. Debbie's iPad.
Well, I don't see Debbie. Okay. Debbie, please go ahead.
You'll need to unmute.
Debbie, you need to unmute.
Gotcha. It's not Debbie at all.
Yep. Well, I'm fairly recent to all this, just the last couple of months, but I mean, I've been doing meditations for about 5 years, trying to do one at least every day, but that's so important for me. And there's a lot of breath work with most of the meditations, which I find really helpful. And somebody was mentioned about, you know, what they started with, just the 3 short ones. That's just so helpful to just take a minute to pause and take a couple breaths inward and then outward. And it really does slow your body down, and it really helps your autonomic nervous system. So they're very important to try and do that as much as we can, especially when we're feeling a little bit overwhelmed or in some kind of a stressful situation.
John, thank you for I'm sorry I called you Debbie, but I guess
That's okay. That's not a bad thing.
John, sorry, but thank you. I appreciate your comment.
I'll change that.
Any other comments before we move on? Going. Okay, Judd?
Okay, we're going to move to staying connected.
Yes.
Sure.
Staying connected is so important. In this area, especially during the holidays, there are a gazillion opportunities for volunteer experiences. If you've never done any of that, or if there are limitations that might prevent you from doing certain things, there still are opportunities for that. You can go online, or actually now during this season, in the papers, there are always links for groups who need volunteers. Maybe that's not your thing. Maybe something like visiting an aquarium, or going to an uplifting musical event, or being outdoors. I'm going to come back to that because that's quite critical. Sign up for a class, something that you thought you might like to do. Could be cooking, it could be a book review group. Just do it. Remembering that for many of those groups, if you're someone who worries about what people might think, or that you don't have the background or whatever, you may not see most of these folks again anyway. But either way, just get out there and do something that's a little bit new and different. One of the resources that I was exploring for this session is a 2021 review that showed that volunteering for 2 or 3 hours a week, or even just 1 to 10 hours a month, has significant mental health benefits, such as providing some meaning and purpose, developing empathy toward others, feeling like you matter, and also making a contribution to something larger than yourself, in addition to being socially connected. There's a group called Volunteer Match. And if you haven't volunteered before and you're trying to figure out what might be a volunteer opportunity that you would like, that's a good place to start. Other activities like that can be, I know we just had Reads Across America here in the Northern Virginia area, but as I say, I think if you go to Volunteer Match, it'll help you find something in your neighborhood that would be a good match for you. Can't say enough about getting outdoors. We know that 15 minutes outside stimulates endorphin production, which helps to elevate our mood. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be doing a 5K run or anything like that. It can just be simply being outside. Look at a tree, look at some flowers, just sit on the porch. Anything to get you outside and get your vitamin A is going to make you feel more upbeat. There is a group based in Northern Virginia, which is called the Center for Spirituality and Nature. You can go on their website and they have both self-guided tours that you can do in your neighborhood, or appreciating nature without leaving home. So that's a good resource to check out in terms of getting attuned with nature in a way that will help you to keep your mood elevated. Make sure you're sharing how you're feeling with loved ones. Sometimes I think we assume that people will know if we're not feeling upbeat. Most of us are not mind readers. And so give yourself permission to feel what you're feeling, but also say to someone, you know, I just need a venting partner for 5 minutes. I just need an opportunity to share this and then let it go. Never underestimate the power and love of the community where you are. People want to help. Sometimes all we need to do is ask for it. One of the most important.
Okay, that's the end of that segment. Any thoughts?
Take down the screen.
Thank you.
All right, let me just throw something out. We have 10 minutes before the break. And I know the last 3 are limit social media, which I think a lot of people understand. Then we have sleep. I think a lot of people understand sleep and controlling your diet, alcohol intake, and caffeine intake. And we can go to that, or we can discuss what was said, or I'm just trying to look for how you all feel about it. Do you all want to continue with limit social media?
Yeah, Israel has her hand.
And got your hand up, and
John, maybe? Yeah. Go ahead.
John has his hand up.
John, you have your hand up again?
I just put it up, but to acknowledge social media is fine. Talk about, I'll take it down.
No, I'm just wondering, how do you all feel? Do you want to, we can continue, but I do want to break at 3. So Judd, what do you think?
Well, we can continue after the break, of course, for the conclusion. But I had a thought on that. All my comments are going to be about my kids, I guess. But one of the things that she said was let people know how you feel. I have found at this late stage that my children or other people, just anybody, they're very poor mind readers, and I'm living inside of me, so I didn't realize I wasn't communicating that well, And what I see is people don't often feel what I'm feeling or what I'm trying to express. So I think it's real important to, express, just get it out there so that my kids and friends and spouse can understand where I am right now. I don't have to solve the problem. I can just state what I'm doing. I thought that was what I took away from that was just this idea of we tend to hold it into ourselves exactly how we're feeling at this moment.
Thank you, Judd. Mike, go ahead.
I haven't fallen in about a year, but there've been some close calls, and what I notice is that people like the idea of being a hero. They like the idea that they can help others. The other day we were at an exercise class, and my wife got kind of dizzy, and all the other members of the class all came over and just to help us get out of the situation. And that every one of those people felt good because they could see there was a need and they could actually do something to help. That's one of the reasons why churches still function. You know, they talk about religion and God and all that, but it's also, you know, it's people like helping other people. And I think all of us, at least, I don't know, I may not be the worst case, but I think a lot of us feel some kind of, we're ashamed or something. We're nervous about the fact that we can't be completely independent. But we need to avoid, you know, recognize that we all get by with the help of other people. You know, the old Beatles song is true. And we are, in a sense, providing them, the rest of the people around us, an opportunity.
Good point.
All right, thank you, Mike. Good point. Debbie's father, John.
Yes.
John, go ahead, sir. Your hand's up.
Oh, I thought I took it down, but
I'll take it down.
there's I know there's sometimes when people will ask you how you feeling or how you doing, you just say, oh, you know, okay, kind of thing, just sort of shrug it off. But there's a phrase sometimes that really helps, I think, really convey a deeper meaning for the person. If that other party says, how are you doing? And you say, well, you know, getting by, okay, whatever. Then they could ask, how are you really feeling? And that can just open up a whole different level of, you know, discussion and response and reaction to that question. It's easy just to sort of shrug it off. Well, I'm feeling okay, but you know, and just leave it at that. But when you ask, how are you really feeling? That usually gets into a much deeper discussion.
John, that's a good point. Thank you. Diane, you're up. Go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to say something about going back to volunteering. It really does help me a lot because in addition to my feet, it's been a rough year for me, especially because my sister just died a few months ago from brain cancer. And the thing that helps me is I've been volunteering for years in an assisted living community with people in their memory care area, with people who have Alzheimer's or other forms of dementia. And I just love going there. I've always loved going there, and it really is helpful for me. I always come out of there feeling great because I feel like I've just had a lot of friends there, both residents and staff. So I just thought I'd share that for me, volunteering is a good thing. It works out well for me.
And thanks for sharing. We appreciate that. I'm sorry about your sister.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Arlene?
Oh,
Ms. Brown.
am I muted? No. I talk about how you're feeling. It's really hard for me when people ask me how I'm feeling. I don't want to be a complainer, and I don't want to focus on the symptoms. I makes me sometimes feel worse to focus on that. Sometimes if it's a close friends, I'll tell how I'm really feeling. But the other day I was with a group of people, and when I got up from the chair, I thought I was going to fall. My balance was so terrible. And I had a couple of people rush over to help me. And at first, I don't know, I felt a little embarrassed about it. And I know these are my friends, but I just had a hard time with it because of this progression. And I want to stay positive, but sometimes I don't feel that way. I really don't. And anyway, that's all.
Marlene, I appreciate that. I think we all know what you're going through, and we all feel that at times. I've got 2:58, and what I'd like to do is take a break and come back, if it's okay with you guys, and then go to the limit the social media sleep and then diet and alcohol and caffeine.
We got Michelle,
Bill, maybe one more comment from Michelle.
One more, if we get one more comment, we got about 2 minutes. I'm just trying to run on time, that's all.
we're
I
here
don't
to ruin
see-
your day.
Yeah. Whose hand is up? I can't see
Michelle
everybody.
Phillips.
Michelle Phillips?
Michelle,
Go ahead, sir.
I mean, it's okay if we don't have time. I was just gonna say the support group is, a big part. I totally lost what I was gonna say now because of what she just said. Kind of is what I'm going through too. Sorry, what that just hit hard because I'm losing a lot of my abilities too. So, I'm progressing fast too. So, sorry.
No,
I
don't be
can't talk to you
sorry.
today.
Never be sorry with this group. Never be sorry. We're here for comfort, support, and hope.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like this group is support, and you're my only support right now. You, my therapist, a good friend, Mark. Um, I don't have a lot of support. So when you invite me to this Zoom meeting, it just
And we don't charge for our services too.
I know, and it meant a lot. And I'm just really grateful to be here.
Okay. Well, we're glad you're here, and I have 3 o'clock, and we're going to take a break. We'll be back
Okay.
at 3:05, and Jed will continue with the next one is limit social media.
You don't
Right.
end the Zoom thing, do you? You just stay on.
Stay
Yeah.
on and
Yeah,
stay
I'm not
on if
going
you want
anywhere.
to.
Yeah.
Stretch.
But during the break, Michelle, go look at your messages from the chat. I threw a lot
there
of
are
questions at
messages?
you. Yeah, I threw a lot of questions at you in your chat messages.
Oh, I can't do a whole lot at the same time right now. Like I'm not good, guys. Like yeah. So it's a lot for me to be like, it's a lot.
Well, if you can.
Okay, I will. I can do that now. Just like, looking at the video, talking. It's just lots going on.
Okay, everyone go hydrate. Take care of your kiddo, Michelle.
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
We'll see you back at 3:05.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Judd and Bill, we're really going to have to watch the time because the wrap up is important. Western Neuropathy and Lou wanted to make an announcement. Both wanted to make announcements. So really, we need to stop the discussion about 1:45. Okay.
Well, we've got some to go. You want to eliminate?
Yeah.
Bill was thinking. See some of the techniques.
It
And
sounds
our,
like
limiting social media, we can kind of go over that at our own pace if we want. Regular night's sleep, maintaining a healthy diet, and so forth. We could bypass that. People can look at that on their own.
Personally, I think that's pretty much people have heard that before. And we can transfer that to overtime if somebody wants to
that's right.
Talk about that and move on to the
Yes, can we see the page again, the resource page, so we know what came after
the
maintaining?
resource page shows only DC resources.
I know.
But we could skip, well.
Can you share the video resource page, Judd, please?
Yes.
We can see what, if we skip.
So there's limit social media. When prevention is not enough, that's about seeking professional help. And when do you know when you or somebody you love needs it? Okay. Then some local resources, which is good. But again, it's going to be on the website. So people can look that up. Supporting others, that's about being strong enough to, handling other situations. And then being an advocate for yourself, I think that's pretty important. And then the conclusion, I think, Pat, you wanted to make sure we got to that.
Right.
So
last year, there was a lot of response to venting. So maybe we need to show that one, and self-advocacy. I think those are perhaps more important than.
Let's go to venting, and then let's go to self-advocacy. Yes.
Well, venting we already covered, but there's more in the video on that. So, venting partner, that we've already covered that. I believe maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
You're right. We're at limit social media. I'm not sure whether we need to go to when prevention is not enough. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking, I'm thinking if discussion, it would be top dog would be if we talk amongst ourselves. If we need Anne to give us more triggers, then great. But
all right. Well, it's 10 after, so
we have to go. Let's go to let's save the rest for overtime.
I think that's okay. Now, Pat wanted to cover be an advocate for yourself. That's this idea of self-advocacy when you need it. Right. And I think that was good. And then we can go on to the conclusion and wrap it up and talk.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
How about that?
Can I say something about the exit survey?
Yes, that'll be at wrap up.
Well, I wanted to mention, in case anybody has to leave early and came in late and had to leave early, planning a program in January about downsizing, and we would really like your questions. So if you can, Bill's planning to present something in January, and I'm sure he'd really appreciate any suggestions or questions you have. So please take time to take a minute or two and put in your thoughts about in the exit survey, if you can, please.
Okay, Judge, show the link we talked about.
Limiting social media.
Oh, I thought we were going to advocacy.
Part of helping.
Social media, yeah.
And we had somebody had a question that we left off at the end. Michelle Phillips
She answered. She got her answer.
Got that? Okay. All right. Sorry.
I think we should do limiting social media first and then how to be an advocate.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
It worked out
Because
so
part of
well in
helping
rehearsal.
someone else make
Social media, yeah.
Limit social media. Here we go.
There we go.
One of the things we can do to keep our goals up is to limit social media.
Can you all hear that all right?
No,
No.
no. Get louder.
Okay, let's see.
Can't hear it all now.
She is mute, Judd.
What's going on?
Better? Worse?
And this includes Zoom, you know, we, during,
Muted.
Haven't heard anything.
Can't hear.
thank goodness, we had ways to stay connected, over the internet.
Okay, well, I got off track. Let's see.
Could you start limit social media again, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure we fixed the problem.
Okay.
One of the most important things we can do to keep our
Anything?
levels up.
Yes.
Media. We are having more and more studies show that the
Can you all hear that okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fine, Judd.
people who spend significant hours on social media of any kind are showing over time signs of some brain cell deterioration. And this includes Zoom. You know, during COVID, we all became very, thank goodness we had ways to stay connected over the internet and such. But we want to be sure that, as with other of the electronic media, that we put some limits around Zoom as well. It's fine for small periods of time, but you don't want to make that your daily routine, and certainly not just before you go to sleep. Getting adequate and sound sleep is something that is very hard for some people. Again, there are some very nice resources available to us here. One is, if you don't already know it, it's called Insight Timer. Insight offers a broad array of meditation tools. Some are specifically to help people sleep or to help people get into a deeper form of sleep. We know that chronic insomnia damages brain cells over time as well. So Insight Timer is not the only one, but it's certainly a very good place to start, and it has all of its options are free. Make sure that you're
Okay, now that's the end of the one we were looking at. Are we going to eliminate when prevention is not enough?
Yes.
What about caffeine and alcohol there?
What's that?
Caffeine, and
Caffeine.
alcohol.
I'm not getting
Healthy diet.
healthy diet. Okay.
Well, before we go there, I'd like everybody to know that Lou Masway put the word of the year is called brain rot.
That's me.
And
That's what I
think
saw
that-
the social media. That's what I really was
And
going to.
Lou, I read that and I gotta, I agree with you 100%. And, anyway, thank you.
Well, But it's not just that. That's self-induced, but and I plead guilty to that. But I had long COVID this year, and I believe my cognitive abilities are just not the same as they were at the first of the year. And maybe they'll come back, but I mean, that brain rot is bigger than just social media. I confess I suffer from it. Do we, okay, so we're on local resources. Basically, that is giving us some numbers there to call for emergencies. Very helpful. You can put that on the fridge. Now, the way you get that is to go to the website and go to this page and just print it off or copy these numbers down, and then make yourself some little cards for the fridge. I suggest we forego that. And then we talked about supporting others, very helpful, but we sort of get it. Have enough strength, if we can, to be there for others, remaining calm and practicing active listening. And then do we want to go to be an advocate for yourself?
Absolutely.
Okay, here we go.
Because part of helping someone else is also about making sure that you can be an advocate for your own health and well-being. And I like this particular picture because, you know, here's a kitten who sees himself or herself as a lion. And sometimes I feel like in our human situations, we tend to do the opposite. You know, we see ourselves as something less than. So in living in a fast-paced world, we're getting information all the time in all different kinds of forms. And choosing to be an advocate for your own health and well-being is important so that you can not only experience joy yourself, but also help others who may need it. So how do you do that? You know, you can find photos or drawings of superheroes, whether they're human or non-human. Again, as I mentioned earlier, post them in places you frequent to remind yourself that you are also worthy of holiday cheer and goodwill. You're not responsible for the happiness of negative people, but you can certainly offer them your support. And when you're doing so, be aware of additional time you may need to refill your own well so you can be supported. There's a fairly common saying in Africa that a dry well yields no water. So when we let ourselves be so drained, then we're not of use to much to ourselves or anyone else. Imagine yourself wrapped in a warm comfort blanket and stay with that imagery for a few minutes. There is also a Buddhist making present joy exercise, which I want to share with you. And you can try this as well. So it's repeating the number 9 in 3 sets. So it's 999, 999, 999. And you just keep repeating that in a sort of, the more sing-songy you do it, the better it is. But you'll find that after you do that for a few minutes, you sort of get into at least a neutral place, if not a happier place. So it's 999, 999, 999. And finally,
Now she gets into the conclusion. Do we want to start that up, or we want to pause for comments?
Let's pause for comments for a little bit.
Okay. I like that little Buddhist chant.
Yeah.
That could be real helpful.
John, perhaps you know, why is the number 9 significant? Is it just the rhythm of repeating it in, as she said, a sing-song? Is that a way to just calm yourself, or do you know anything about this idea? Since you said you've meditated.
Oh. I've never heard the 999, but a lot of times just numbers in sequence are helpful to help you to eliminate, you know, what they call a lot of that monkey noise. You know, you can't get these sort of any thoughts or sometimes negative thoughts out of your mind. So saying numbers like that help you sort of try and focus on something different. But
I see. It's sort of a distraction.
yeah, yeah.
Well, we all know people have suggested that for pain management, you know, to think of something else and not your big toe that's burning or your fingers that are numb,
Sure.
but something else that will take your brain to another point. Thank
Yeah.
you.
For me, sometimes I just say, especially in a meditation when I can't, I'm having a lot of external, you know, thoughts pop in your head. I just say, Holy Ghost, Holy Ghost, Holy Ghost. A word or two that just helps you not eliminate these little tangential thoughts that keep on popping up in your head. It's amazing. I mean, they say we get anywhere from 60 to 70,000 thoughts go through our head every day, which is mind-boggling. But so anything like that, I think sometimes it helps. Sometimes, you know, you really struggle with it. But
I'm wondering, has anyone used the Insight Timer meditation app or another meditation app? One question I had about it is, how do you manage that when you're in bed? You know, I've used white noise. I'm thinking, how do you turn that on and still be able to sleep comfortably? I just need to explore it, I guess.
yeah, I've never done that.
Marlene?
Yeah, I
Well-
use the Insight Timer. It's really helpful. I use it before I go to sleep with the music. It doesn't last, you know, you can also put how many minutes you want on it. But I find it's very relaxing. I like it a lot, the Insight Timer. I need to use it more. I forget sometimes that I have it, but I find it helpful.
Is it no cost?
It's I think I paid for an upcharge on it because, but there's one you can get that's no charge, I think, like Calm also. And then there's also a tape by Bell Ruth Naparstek for sleep, meditation for sleep. That's probably the best one that's ever been made. And she's excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle has her hand up.
Michelle, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm a little slow over here. I'm having a hard time being calm at all. There's so much going on with doctors. Just, oh geez. Okay. Now I can see myself like, okay, that's a lot. Thank you. Just, it's just a lot. Like I talk about stress. Just being heard. I'm not being heard at all. My doctor doesn't even know about this illness. She doesn't even take the time to research it. I had to go, I live in Pittsburgh. I had to call my doctor in Chesapeake just to get my records sent up here, just so I could get medicine, just so I can feel better. And that took a month to do. I get an advocate from my health insurance just to be able to do that. It's getting crazy up here. I need help. You know, and that's why I joined this group too. I don't know. I went to the emergency room because I was so bad. I was crawling to my son's room and they wouldn't help me. They said I had a skin rash and that I was neurotic. When I told them that this was what was going on, I had pinched nerve and this nerve stuff, this illness. They wouldn't listen to me. They wouldn't help me. So I'm not being heard. I'm not being helped. And I have a 3.5-year-old that I'm trying to take care of. I'm trying to be a mom and trying to feel better for him. And, you know, talk about stress. You know, I can't even, I'm getting an aide in here finally to help me,
Mhm,
but, you know,
mhm.
that's not enough. I need medicine. I need help. You know, but sorry, I'm not trying to take up too much
No.
time. I just,
No, Michelle, that's all right. I think Glenn, didn't you put something in the chat for her?
I've been talking to, yes,
Yeah,
Glenn, I think, yeah,
yeah,
but
we've been
just,
having a rather long conversation in private chat.
and
I
thank
definitely
you.
have some
I
ideas for
appreciate
her.
you. I
Okay.
appreciate you. I'm just saying, I just want to put it out there too, that stress is a big part of my life right now. And I'm trying. Yeah, sleep is non-existent for me right now. Um, I try. It's just pain, burning, everything is just, my symptoms are up here, 100, and nobody's doing anything about it. So, sorry. I'm
No, don't be,
really not good, guys. I'm not good.
please don't be sorry. I mean,
I'm really sick.
if Glenn is giving you some good advice, I mean, that's good. Because I was going to put my phone number in the chat for you to call me, but I guess if Glenn,
No, I need all the support I can get. Like, really,
all
I
right,
need all the
well,
advice I can get.
well,
I'm really, really sick.
I will
Like,
do that. I will do that. I'll send you my phone number and,
yeah, please. I'm so sick. Like, nobody's listening to me here.
okay, we will listen to you. No,
Yeah.
okay. Any other
Sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to. Sorry.
no problem. I'm a bad cop, good cop, so I've got to move around.
I'm alone, and the first time I don't feel alone. I'm sorry.
Don't worry. I'm a good cop and a bad cop. I gotta just move around the
I'm
people.
gonna go. I'm gonna go.
We'll get with you. Helene, you got your hand up, right?
Yes, I think Michelle, I don't know if she's still with us, but I was gonna ask if she had a neurologist, if her doctor is not helping her, perhaps a neurologist would.
I have MRI scheduled for the 26th, a spinal and brain, because I have a pinched nerve somewhere. They don't know where it is on my spine. So then I will see a neurologist in January.
Oh, good. Okay, that will be helpful, I
Yeah.
think.
I have an appointment in January.
And do you have someone, Michelle, that you can bring with you as an
No,
advocate to that appointment?
I have nobody.
Yeah, we got to find through someone, maybe through Bill Wiltshire's group or something like that. We have to find somebody who might be able to go with her and perhaps take notes and, you know,
I
have
need help.
questions.
I have nobody. I have no friends. Like, I have no family. I'm all alone here.
Glenn, I think that was a good idea for Bill Wilshire. We can make that perhaps connection because Dr., I think her name was Eisner, spoke to that group and
Yeah.
she was wonderful. So Michelle, we'll get back with you. John, do you have something else that
Thank you.
Well,
Sure.
I was just gonna ask, Michelle, I didn't understand, you may have mentioned earlier, where are you currently living or at?
I'm in Pittsburgh.
You're in Pittsburgh. Okay.
In
And
Oakland, Pittsburgh.
Oakland, okay.
Sorry, I'm getting very emotional.
Okay.
And it's hurting me. So keep getting
Yeah.
off with them. I'm burning and I'm in pain.
And is
So I'm
the,
starting to shake a little bit. So sorry.
and the issue is some kind of a pinched nerve somewhere in your body that's
In my
creating
spine.
in your
That's
spine?
what they're saying. They don't really know because no one's really looking at me, sir. Like, no one's looking at me. I've had
Oh.
video visits. I had a video visit with a neurosurgeon. No one's looking at me.
Who ordered the MRI? The neurosurgeon?
Yeah, she did a video visit with me. No one's taking me seriously.
Mhm.
Michelle, tell them about the surgery as well.
I had a neck surgery in 2015. My C4 through C7 was extracted. I have a metal plate in the back of my neck, and I did have nerve damage. I've been living with nerve damage and chronic pain for, well, since then.
And Lou, you had your hand up, right, Lou?
Oh, no, no, thanks, Bill. I was just happy that Michelle's got a neurology appointment and, some,
I'm trying. I
care
mean,
coming up. Yeah, because that's so essential. I can't remember who
I just
mentioned
got so
Helene, maybe.
sick
Yeah.
so quick and don't know what I'm doing. Nobody's, I had to call Chesapeake, my old doctors, my old neurosurgeon down there, and they're telling me what to do. She was like, I wish you were down here. I'd have you, fix it up right away. MRI. She was like, that was 2 months ago. She's like, what are they doing up there? I was like, they're not listening to me. They're not doing anything really. They're not,
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I
I
mean,
can't
you
even take
frequent.
a shower. I can't touch water. I can't do anything.
Wow.
Well,
I
Michelle,
can't even- I can't do like nothing. I haven't bathed for 2 months. Like it's like they don't care. Like it's just nothing.
Michelle, first thing I would do is I think definitely to go when you see your doctor, to have somebody go with you because
It's a video visit. It's a video
you,
visit
you may be so upset that you don't
on
really
Monday.
Oh.
Yeah.
Please trying to have somebody with you.
Yeah, even for a video visit.
Video
Okay.
visit, just to
Because
take
if
notes.
you're in so much pain, they may catch things that
Yeah.
you may not catch. And
Right.
That's what I would do.
Well,
Make
it's for medicine, so I I even told him it was too low of a dose because I've been on gabapentin before, and they just don't listen. Like this doctor does not listen. I knew
Well,
something was wrong with me for a while now.
all right, well,
And
Michelle, I'll put my my number in the chat, so I will listen to you. So that's a good start.
it's so frustrating, And now I'm like this. Like this probably could have been prevented,
Okay.
Mhm.
All
Helene,
right.
you have something to add? I think your hand is up, Helene. You
You,
need to unmute.
Yeah. It was up. I wanted to say something to Marlene, I think it was. She said something about being embarrassed when her friends had to help her. And just briefly, in addition to my peripheral neuropathy, I had back surgery in May that went sort of sideways, and now I have to use a walker, and it's sort of obvious that I need help. And people are so good. And at first I was upset because I wanted to do things by myself that I used to be able to do. Now I really appreciate when people come over to me in the grocery store. Can I help you? When I'm loading things into my car, people come up, can I help you? I must look terribly helpless, but it makes them feel good, and I need the help. So it's nothing to be embarrassed about. Even with your friends or with strangers, just be grateful that people are kind. Well, that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, Mike, your hand is up. Go ahead.
I just wanted to comment that for an awful lot of people, the biggest problem, at least the immediate problem they're most concerned about, is pain. And of course, all the volunteers can rush over and say, can I help you? And in fact, they can't. They can sympathize, but they can't actually do anything or much of anything to help with the pain itself. There is material on our website about pain. There are different opinions, but recognize that a lot of what we're talking about to Michelle about are things we can do to get help, and things we can do to help others to distract ourselves and away from the pain. But we just realize that, yes, there are aspects of PN for which there is help available, and there are other aspects really frustrating. And one of the reasons why peripheral neuropathy was never very little help was offered and very little research was done was because the typical doctor of 20, 30 years ago look at a peripheral neuropathy and said, well, there's nothing I can do. And they just give up. And I don't know that Michelle is getting that now. It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like somebody did neck surgery. So, but you know, spine surgery is an iffy thing. Sometimes it helps. It helped Pat for a very specific problem. For other people, it doesn't do any good at all, or can make things worse. But so pain is a very, very tricky part of PN, and I think we have a right to be frustrated with it, and we can talk about it. But you know, you ask for help, but people around you. So when you talk about being your own advocate, I think that's really where advocacy comes in. What is going on? Is it dangerous? Can I distract it? Can I do something else to keep myself away from this pain? And there, you're, in a sense, you're kind of on your own. Medicines may help a little. That's all.
All right. Anybody else?
I just wanted to ask Michelle, I'm assuming you've got a very young child there and you're under the age 50, correct?
Yeah, I'm 41. I just turned 41 November 24th, actually.
Okay.
Yes,
Well,
thank you.
your local senior services, but many of those programs, you have to be 50 or older, but they have a lot of supportive people. There are care providers, people who are in advocacy roles. What I could do, I'm in Michigan, but I could try and what was the name of the city? You were in Pittsburgh, or
Oakland.
a suburb of it?
Oakland.
Yeah.
Oakland.
Yeah.
Which is
I can put it, I'll put it in the message if
Yeah.
you want.
Suburb
Okay.
of Pittsburgh.
and maybe I could call and just see if
Thank
you know,
you.
if there's any resources in that area. I think it'd be so helpful, as others have mentioned, to have somebody there with you, even on the video call, as well as going in person, so they can
I so
record.
appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay. I'll try and do that.
Thank you. That's
Thank you,
amazing.
John.
Thank you,
very
John.
much.
You're welcome.
That's aw, thank you.
I just want to move to, is there any,
No, yeah. No, thank you.
thank you. Is
All
there
right, bring
any other new person that has joined this group today? Anyone new?
Well, John is new,
Okay,
Yeah,
I
I'm
know John is, John
and Michelle.
and Michelle. And I'm just wondering, besides John and Michelle, is there anybody else who's new we have not heard from?
There we go. Lee.
Lee.
Lee?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
would you,
loud and
before you
clear.
speak, Lee, would you, of course, we know your name and we'd like you to tell us where you're from and how you heard about our support group and what type of neuropathy you are suffering from.
Sure. My name is Lee Lefton. I'm in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I have diabetic peripheral neuropathy that I've had for about 6 years, which started after a surgery. I heard about the group. My wife said to me, there must be some support groups out there. And so I started looking online and I found US Pain Foundation, and I have been going to the daily support group, which has been fabulous. And just listening to you guys here, this is such an amazing resource. And I want to send a message to Michelle, which is, if you're going to do a video visit and you can't find somebody to go with you, record it. Take a little recorder with you. That way you can play it back and you can remember what was said by the practitioner.
Exactly.
Great point.
Excellent.
But, anything else, Lee, that we should know about you?
I don't think so.
Right.
If I think of something, I'll come back on.
Lee,
Okay.
could I just ask you out of curiosity to follow up on how you heard about PNSN Network and today's meeting? You mentioned the U.S. Pain Foundation, but how did you get to us?
Through you, Pat.
Oh, dear.
Interesting. Somebody gave me your name, and I can't remember who it was. I think
Probably
I went
CJ.
on that's exactly who it was.
Right. We got it now.
Yep.
Okay, I wanted to make sure you were the person I was thinking of. Yes, welcome. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Lee. And how's the weather in New Mexico?
It's beautiful today. We didn't have a lot of snow. It's in the mid 50s, and it's just, I don't know if any of you have ever been to Santa Fe. It's a spectacular. There you go. It's a spectacular place. My wife and I started vacationing here in the late 80s and having the conversation. We were from Los Angeles. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to spend a little more time here? And it got all the way to, gee, maybe we'll just sell our house. We went home, LA, sold our house in 3 weeks, and we're here. And we say the only other place in the world we might want to live would be Barcelona, Spain. But unfortunately, I don't think we can do that because with the neuropathy, I'm very limited in my ability to walk.
Well, I hope your nice weather moves east.
Yeah.
I'll send it your way.
Because it's freezing and cold weather really affects my neuropathy. Okay, anyway, we have 8 minutes to just open discussion.
Excuse me,
Oh.
Bill, could we just show the conclusion part? Because I think it was helpful to sort of sum up what Ann was saying.
Okay, as long as you don't get mad at me because we cut you off.
I know.
Okay. Whatever you say, ma'am.
All righty, let's do
Let's
this.
go to our slide 14. And just as a kind of summing up, I wanted to just remind us that each of us is responsible for how we create and manage time, including during the holidays. And when we're experiencing grief or loss or less tangible feelings that nonetheless dampen our spirits, it's okay to acknowledge that we don't have a perfect response. How can we when all these things are new and often untested, as it were? So, contrary to what the commercial world tells us, there's no magic bullet for this. But as Anne Lamott, writer and humorist, says, in the dark, there's still some light around. So don't ever think that things are too dark. More light may be on the way. But to see it, we have to open our eyes and our hearts. And that's something we can all work on. Joy is out there. And yes, it takes work to find it. And remember, when we look for it, we're probably going to find more than we expect. We have some tools to work with, and many of you, I'm sure, have others, or you will create others that will be effective for you. So don't stop being creative in how you use these tools or some others. There are a couple of resources that I will just mention here. And again, during the holidays, I'm seeing in the New York Times, the Washington Post, a number of our local news outlets are offering things, but there is a book by Dr. Carolyn that is called 101 Ways to Be Less Stressed. And there is another called The Happiness Trap by and then a third, which is called Self-Compassion by Dr. Kristen Neff. All of these have similar kinds of approaches to making sure that the more we help our own self-being, our own health, then the more equipped we're going to be a positive presence for others who may need that as well. So I'm going to stop there and see what your questions are. We can certainly go back to anything that I've already mentioned, but again, I hope a few of these are going to be helpful as you. We're already well into the holiday season, so again, these are not tools that have to be limited to holidays for sure.
Okay, that's it.
That's it. Okay,
Like 14.
Miss Pat, I'm going to turn it
Just
over
as
to you.
kind of summing up, I
Oh,
wanted
hang on.
to just remind us that each of
What
us
the-
is responsible for how we create and manage time, including during the holidays.
Cut.
And when experiencing
I know,
grief
I'm
or
sorry.
loss
Yes,
or
trying.
less tangible feeling,
And it goes on.
There we go.
Okay, thank
And
you,
on.
Judd. I appreciate that. Pat, I know you have some closing remarks, and I know Lou Masway has some good
Yes.
information for us, so I'm going to turn it
Well,
over.
And
Okay,
also,
thank you.
screen
Judd,
share-
I'm just going to reference this. These are the books that Anne just mentioned, and this list, you could take a photo of it right now if you want it, or could you move the cursor, please? Thanks.
It's on the website.
Right, but if you want it immediately, you can take a picture of it, obviously, with your phone. You can go to our website, which was in the chat, pnsnetwork.org, and you will find both this list and the entire video from last year and today's shortened version. So you have lots of options if you want to do follow-up. I'm going to move on to my wrap-up for today. To mention that you can find upcoming meetings throughout the country, not just in Northern Virginia, DC, on our website by going to pnsnetwork.org and looking at the calendar. And you will find various days and times for meetings around the country, as I said. If you are leaving now, please, please, please take a minute or two and answer the exit survey as it helps us plan for 2025. I'd like to note that the Pittsburgh group that has been meeting in Pittsburgh, unfortunately for Michelle, is suspended for the time being for a short period, but we can still access members there who might be able to give Michelle some ideas. I would like to note that our next meeting will be January 4th. With the expected focus on downsizing and that whole, as I said, big decision. Do we try to age in place? Do we look into continuous care communities? Do we get on a waiting list? What are the costs physically, emotionally, financially involved? These are the kinds of questions that we hope to answer. And we'd ask you to please put in the exit survey or in today's chat any question you have personally about that whole issue of making the decision on what's next. The next thing I wanted to say is that, that Western Neuropathy Association has webinars and many Zoom meetings. So I'm going to ask Glenn in a minute to go over that. And also Lou Masway from the Foundation for Peripheral Neuropathy. Recently, they have had 2 webinars that are recorded and you can review. One on navigating sleep with PN, which fits right in with what we talked about today, and a more recent one, New Horizons in CIDP. So if you're interested in either of those PN related topics, Lou, do you have anything else you would like to add? I think you said you had an announcement.
I have several, there's lots of things going on at the foundation. I mean, that I'm happy to report on.
Sure.
One is our year-end fundraising, which I have agreed to personally match along with one of my co-board members, Van Salmons. Any donations up to $100,000. So there's plenty of room for you all to give and make me contribute some more. And I wish you would. We have two new, at our recent meeting, which was just this week, we elected two new directors to the foundation board. Two outstanding neurologists from and professors. One is Shanna Patterson, who's maybe you've seen her. She's done some webinars for the foundation. She's just a great communicator, very compassionate, one of the more compassionate doctors I've run into. And she's up at Mount Sinai in New York. And she's going to be joining the board effective January 1. And Amanda Peltier is a neurologist professor at Vanderbilt, who's got, you know, an outstanding, a long list of publications and, you know, other credentials. And she's joining the board on the 1st of January as well. And then we have two new staff members, a new director of development, and we've had trouble holding on to our directors of development. But we're hopeful that this new one will be a long-termer. Her name is Katie Britton, and she's got lots of good experience in the Chicago area with doing development work for other organizations. And the other new person is Susan Gibson, and she's a new position, which is program manager to help Lindsay manage a lot of things that are going on at the foundation. So, so two new directors, two new staff members, and that's why we need more donations to support all this activity. And I'll put the website in case you don't. I'm glad you caught those webinars. The one this week was really good, I thought, on I don't have CIDP, but I like to learn about, you know, new, get more information. So anyway, that's it. That's my update, but it's a healthy update. So.
Excellent.
Thanks for
Lou,
the
would you
update.
would you put the website in the chat?
Yes,
for
I
people
will. Thank you.
who Want to, and then
We're
we're
gonna-
going to move to Glenn.
Okay, so a couple of things just that are going on. The most recent webinar on Fit to Function should be up now on our YouTube channel and at the website. You can link to it there, which is www.pnhelp.org. And we thought that that went very well. We are not having a webinar this month simply because it falls right in between the usual time we have them is 4 Thursdays. And it's going to fall right in between to that New Year's and Christmas interspace there. But webinars that will be coming up in 2025 will include a number of things that are in the planning paces on nutrition, supplements, and I'm trying to get the Win Santor people to actually come and talk about their attempts to get compassionate use status for their experimental drug pirenzepine, which is supposed to actually help regenerate nerves. So we want to try and get them in to talk about that state of the art and see where they're at. We're still running almost all of our support groups this month. We're going to have the second Saturday one next week, next Saturday at exactly the same time that this one is, which is 2 p.m. Eastern. We also have the chemo-induced neuropathy group, which is this Wednesday. That's at 5 p.m. Eastern. There's going to also be the third Wednesday general group, which is at 1 p.m. Eastern, and that's on the third Wednesday, which is going to be the 18th this month, if I'm correct. And the standing CIDP meeting that happens 5 hours after that on the same day that John Phillips runs. The other thing that you should all know, other than the merch, which if you go to pnhelp.org and look at the site, you can see all the new stuff. Or if you want, I could do a screen share, Pat, depending upon what you want to do. But we're trying to fundraise that way so that we can keep our dues at $30 a year. And probably the most important thing going on now is we're going through an administrative shift where we will no longer be part of the ARC, the nonprofit network out in California. So we're basically going to be shifting our administrative functions in-house. There may be some glitches while the transition goes on, so do be patient with us. But we're going to, for the first time, actually have some paid staff. So in very much in keeping with what Lou said, yeah, we need some fundraising so we can keep that paid staff to actually, you know, keep things going with membership and books during the course of the year. So go on over to pnhelp.org and, you know, see the resources and go and look at the merch, which is very amusing. I had a few ideas that got, you know, came to fruition there. So did some of the other board members. And there's a lot of fun stuff if you have anybody who needs a gift to remind them that somebody in their life has neuropathy.
And where can they find that on pnhelp.org? Is there a specific merchandise page, did you say?
Yeah, if you actually look at, you know, the top menu, we have that horizontal menu at the top. It's actually right up there. It's called Store.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Glenn and Lou, for those amazing updates. It really shows how much action is happening around us in the larger PN community. And we try to emphasize that every month to keep people abreast, not only of what DC Virginia group is doing, but what groups throughout the country are doing. So if anyone else has anything that they would like to add about a meeting that they attend that they find helpful or whatever, please put it in the chat. I know there is one in West Essex, New Jersey that meets, and I can't remember the day, but as I said, if you go to our website, pnsnetwork.org, you can find all of these group meetings listed under the calendar.
And a lot of those are in-person groups, or are they all Zoom groups?
No, they're all Zoom.
Okay.
I shouldn't say all because I
Yeah,
can't.
all of ours are currently Zoom, although we
Okay.
do have a couple of specialized groups that do meet on a quarterly basis in person,
Yeah.
one in California, one in Houston. So,
And the Pittsburgh group was trying to do a hybrid where they were doing an in-person at a local church and then the Zoom meeting. And they found the attendance falling off in the in-person ones. And so they put it on suspension for the moment as they rethink how do they want to move forward. So we will keep you abreast of any changes in Pittsburgh as we learn of them. And as I said, the West Essex, New Jersey one, I can put that up in the chat as well if people are interested. The last thing I want to explain a little bit is what we call overtime. I mentioned it at the beginning. Our meeting officially ends at 4 o'clock, but we've had experience over the past months, years, where people have wanted to have a more social environment to sort of take the place of the in-person meetings where they could talk more informally. It is not recorded. So if you are interested, we extended another half hour. If you want to follow up with someone about something you heard or exchange emails that you don't necessarily want to put out to the whole group, this is the place to do it. And we will be going to overtime in just a minute or two. And I thank you. Please take the exit survey and we hope to see you on January 4th.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Pat.
Yeah.
Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Lou. And special thanks to Santa Claus up there for his technical know-how. And remember the things that I say for those who are new. Motion is lotion and rest is rust. And if you start to exercise, go slow and go low. And if you can't stand up, you can sit and be fit. Words of wisdom for the day.